morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. I hope you're all excited about Observability Day. I brought this quote with me: if you can't define good, you can't measure good. I think what we have to aim for is, knowing what we are trying to achieve, and then we have to put observability tools in place in order to target and measure what is the definition of good that we're aiming for. In my session, I want to talk a little bit about the future of observability, some aspects that we are thinking about and trends that we're seeing. AI is, of course, also a key topic, and some ways on how we can think the vision is, where it's heading into from the observability perspective. My name is Kimpel. I'm from Relic, and let's get started. So I won't talk to you about OpenTelemetry. This is Observability Day. Everyone is probably very much aware and, of course, knows about OpenTelemetry. But I wanted to point out one recent example that I put in place. It's using a sample app that I deployed. Using a Kong hybrid API gateway that I'm running locally on my machine, interacting with like a Kafka sample app that I deployed into the cloud. A producer, sending messages into Kafka, a consumer receiving messages from Kafka. And I'm in the industry, in the software industry for quite some time now, and I still think this is mind-blowing, right? Having this capability to see an end-to-end trace all the way through various systems. And I think that's really the power of OpenTelemetry that we're seeing here. And I think this will be definitely the future, and it is here to stay. But these days, also, generative AI comes into the play. Many companies, they use more and more generative AI and LLMs that they put into their applications and landscapes. And OpenTelemetry is also here to cover some aspects of what we can use for OpenTelemetry when we embed applications and AI applications into our landscape. This typically comes with additional challenges, right? We need to observe and we want to understand what are the best models that we use from the AI vendor of choice that we're using and embedding. We need to understand, what is the performance of my applications when we interact with AI vendors. But it also comes with other aspects of, telemetry that we need to get and signals that we need to observe. This typically comes with a couple different projects that are out there that also cover OpenTelemetry and AI aspects by using this. One of them is OpenTelemetry, which covers some aspects of observing AI applications when it comes to OpenTelemetry and AI LLM applications. And the other one is OpenLit. I recently played around with these two projects. They cover a little bit various different aspects from the capabilities, from the features that they support. But they have a lot of insights into getting some information about your AIs, the models, the tokens, the input and output tokens that you consume, and so on and so forth. So they're really good in observing your AI-enabled applications. There's also other projects, Arise Phoenix, LangFuse, Langsmith, and LangTrace out there that also cover similar aspects. But the challenge is that they do have similar capabilities and functionality available. And I think, and my hope is that the future of observability in the case of GenAI with OpenTelemetry will get also to a standardized way on how to capture this type of telemetry when it comes to AI-enabled applications and generative AI. In a recent survey that PricewaterhouseCoopers did, they asked some CEOs on what do you expect is the impact of running generative AI in your applications and in your companies. Interestingly, a third of all of them came back with they see an impact in an increased profitability and an increased revenue that they see when they use some form of generative AI in their applications or in their companies in general. Especially for this audience in the room here today, there's an aspect that also was covered in this survey around the employer efficiency. And they said that more than half of them reported that they see an increased efficiency in their employees' time at work when using generative AI. And this is mind-blowing, right? I mean, half of them report that this should come with increased efficiency from your employee time as well. I recently listened to the Azure and DevOps podcast. Jeffrey Palermo, who runs this podcast, was interviewing Jeff Sutherland, the co-creator of Scrum, and they talked a little bit about the history of Agile and so on. And at some point throughout this podcast, they also talked about the developer productivity. And this statement that he mentioned throughout the podcast, if your team is not at least 30 times faster than it is today by 2030, you're going to be on the street, your job is gone, get ready to get unemployed. This is, of course, a bold statement, and I think, he's trying to put a certain concept in place, but I think we have to get more efficient in our day-to-day work, in using our tooling that we have in place, and especially for observability, it is also really important to get more efficient, to be more agile and run these things in more control. And one of the ways on how we can get this done is this concept of agentic DevOps. When we talk about, these things like, I want to be more efficient as a developer, and especially for me as a software developer, I want to have all the information in the right place, ideally in the same environment that I'm using on a day-to-day basis. And this is, of course, for me as a software developer, it's in the IDE. I want to have IDE integrations that maybe interact with systems that I'm already using, like GitHub Copilot. And maybe I have integrations into GitHub Copilot that help me understand from an observability perspective what is going on. But also things like intelligent rollback management, AI-driven predictive analytics, faster path to remediation are also examples. And ideally, all of these agents that we use work in concert in an agent-to-agent architecture, sharing information and updating themselves throughout the course of these processes that they focus on. And I think specifically when it comes to agentic integrations, I think these agents, they should work in concept, focusing on an open ecosystem approach, sharing information so that you have the right information at the right time in the right place. And ideally also these type of agentic integrations should work in concept and focus on these aspects. And I think if we do it right, we have a huge and bright opportunity ahead when it comes to observability. It helps us increase efficiency and be more efficient in our day-to-day work so that we still have a job by 2030. My name is Harry Kimpel. I hope you have a good rest of the Observability Day, have an exciting time here in London for KubeCon. Thank you very much for your attention and listening to me.